Yeah, my flipping stream went and cut off and I didn't even notice the flipping thing. Just repeating this again, this little bit. Now, as I was saying, isolating the north and south poles in the configuration is important. Now, at the moment, this particular magnet is actually biasing the south pole. This is a south gauge, so we're actually biasing south on this end right now. Now I put south on here. Do we see any south coming out this end? Actually, no, we don't. It's actually. Do we see any north coming out this end? No, we don't. Right, so we're not seeing north coming out this end, and we're not seeing south coming out this end. However, when I reverse the magnets, now there's no south coming out, but we are seeing north coming out. So north is biased on this end now, right now, and the spring nature of this nail clippers, you can see it's a strong field. It's pulling on this spring-loaded nail clipper thing quite well. But if I turn this around, now we have very little force there. It's very weak on this end right now. There was some residual actually. It's actually getting weaker as well. But if I turn this around, this is basically one way. It acts like a one-way switch, but it's not 100% one way. Now, if I reverse this the other way around, we're not seeing any south coming out for this end, and we're not seeing any north coming out this end either right now. Reverse the polarization, we're still not seeing any north coming out this end, but we are seeing south coming out this end, you see? So we've got south coming out. We can see the biasing effect on this, the way this is set up. Turn this around again on the other end. So what we're basically witnessing is an easier passage for one particular pole coming out, and that is what we're counting on with that configuration with the laminations here that we've got set up. That's the reason why these laminations are set up like that. I've set them up, and this is one build that I'll be doing to see about minimizing the amount of reverse counterforce that you would normally see when generating power. So the point being is that when we energize this coil here with south, the only thing that should be able to travel through these switches down here, which are magnets, just like I've just been showing you on the actual camera, that's the way the magnets are set up. We've got north magnets here, and we have south magnets here. So we're actually, when we engage south here, what we're doing is we're actually subtracting this particular north pole, which is down here. We're subtracting that from cancelling out the south pole, which is the magnets on this side. So these south pole magnets can free easily to the secondary coil, so we have a plus gain. We have a plus gain on this secondary. Now, every action equals an equal and opposite reaction. We've all heard that. Now, because of the way this is set up, what we should be seeing is a gain of south pole on this side. But the opposite reaction would, in technically speaking, also be south pole pushing back the other way. So if south pole was also pushing back, then it should not be able to make the trip as easily as it was for us to actually bias the south pole coming through. So we should actually minimise the opposite reaction, thereby we have a gain in output with a minimal counterforce. You see? You see what I'm doing? So let me just clear that slate because it's got messy again. So you can see why. Let me just zoom in on that a bit. I need to make my thingies bigger as well. Just a minute. Make these. I better check my live stream actually because it keeps cutting out on me. Let me just check. Yeah, I'm still live. Right. So if I zoom in a bit, just so we get a bit better definition. The magnets. These are all North Pole at the top, that is. Oops, I can't draw with this thing. And these are South Pole on this side. So when we subtract the North Pole magnetism, which travels that way, by applying South Pole on these cores, then the South Pole on this side, I can't draw, will actually engage the secondary coils, and because of the way the switches work, very little of the opposing forces will travel backwards to the actuation coils, thereby minimising the workload that we're doing. But there'll be some leakage because there's a 10mm gap between the outside laminations. So we've got a 10mm gap between each lamination on the outside, but because these laminations, the south pole is coming in from the right and it's not going all the way to this end, and we don't have any magnets on this end that are actually configured to cancel out the loading factors, we should see less load dissipation, counteractive forces from getting back into the actuation coil. So that's what I'm counting on. And the 10mm gap between the outside laminations individually, and also the 10mm gap between the inside and outside laminations, because our return circuit. But it's confusing. We flip between the right side with south and north both turned on to the left side, and that's the other half cycle with the outside north and inside south turned on. So we alternate between the left and right, if you get it. Anyway, it's confusing. It's a bit of a headache trying to work it out, but I think you can see what I'm getting at. I'll have to check to see if the stream's still going, because it keeps on cutting out on me. I think it is. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's just an option I want to try out. Anyway, I'll save this and put it on YouTube, because I'm not sure if anyone's actually watching right now. No, I don't think anyone is. Anyway, 10 minutes is good. Thanks for watching.